this guy had sent me this long kind of paragraph expressing his interest and his love for me. And one thing that he said that when I look back at it now, it makes me cringe. He said, I found a diamond.
So tell the audience something about yourself.
My name is Celeste. I live in the Dallas Metroplex. I'm in my late-ish 20s. And I'm single. I've been single technically for a couple of years, but you know how that goes. That's an ish thing these days. All right, let's get into it.
All right, since you're single, I'm assuming you have friends. So do you believe in having friends of the opposite sex? And let's say they're attracted too.
I do. This is actually like a newish thing for me though. So, my old perspective was if you really care so much about someone that is of the opposite sex and y'all get along and they're attractive, then what's the reason why you wouldn't just be with them? But I think that's kind of a young perspective, and as I've gotten older, I look for different things in dating, right? So I think there's a lot of good people out in this world. A lot of good men that are great friends and can contribute to my life and I can contribute to their life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be good partners. And so I don't see anything wrong with being friends with people of opposite sexes. And I really don't think there's anything wrong, even if they are attractive. I think it kind of adds to the security, or it should help your partner feel even more secure. I mean, that's how I would look at it. But you know how people are though, they're shady too. So you just have to be careful.
Well, if they're attractive and they bring great values, why aren't they qualified to be a partner?
Oh, well, it depends on what those values are, right? Some of my friends are great listeners, they can hear me. But when it comes to dating and the values that they look for in women, they don't align with what I have or what I can give them. So, and just because you're a great listener doesn't mean that we should be dating, but that doesn't mean that, I can't spend time with you and you can't be in my life and things like that.
Men would argue that this guy is kind of just sitting in a friend zone and he could potentially be waiting for his opportunity to slide in when you're the most vulnerable.
I mean, you can't avoid that. That's going to happen either way, whether it's a friend or not. And I feel like if that person is really your person that you're supposed to be with, then it won't matter even at their most vulnerable state. If they're really down for you, they're going to be down for you and it shouldn't impact anything. But at the same time though, you just have to use your best judgment, right? Because people will hang around and they will swoop in. But you just have to be secure in your relationship. That's the thing about it. What are you doing to make somebody that vulnerable where it would be that easy for for you to lose your partner just because you're upset or sad or they did something wrong in that moment. So that's kind of how I feel. Just depends.
So let's say you have a friend and they're attractive. How did you initially meet that person and why are they not a partner?
Most of the time I met them because they were pursuing or I was pursuing them. But, as you get to know someone, you just realize that they're not the person for you. And I feel like we lose out on a lot of opportunities and people because, we just feel like we just need to cut them. Patrick's joining us. But I don't think we really have to, just because I meet you at a bar or whatever and we're drinking and you're cute, right? Why does that qualify you just to, be in my life and be my person? I don't think it does. And I don't feel like just because I met you in that sense that you can't contribute or I can't contribute to your life and be around you.
So for some of these male friends you have, let's say you go out, who's paying most of the time?
They pay for themselves and I pay for myself. If they pay for me, I personally will stop people because I don't want them to ever get anything confused or feel like I ever owe them anything. But also the people that I keep in my life, I don't think they would ever feel that way too. But it's a good safeguard for yourself, I think, just not to let people pay for you when you don't have any interest. Now, if they're just raised that way and like you see that they're clearly that way with everyone else, I think that's fair too.
Do you think it's fair for the person you're dating to pretty much cover every expense in your relationship? From dinners, trips, everything? Well,
I would love for my partner to pay for everything, but I don't think it's realistic and I don't think it's fair. I mean, the first thing is like, you gotta be open and honest with your partner. And I mean that in a way where you don't necessarily have to know exactly how much your partner makes, but you can just watch their own money habits and how they spend. And I think that's a decent indicator of how much money or disposable income they have to spend on you. And, I say that because if I really, really love someone and I really want to be down with them, but they don't make a lot of money, I'm not going to expect them to pay for everything and go into debt, because that really is just self-sabotage from my perspective. Because if I really love you, but I'm draining your bank account and you're putting yourself into debt and we get married or whatever, like that debt is my debt and I don't want all that. So either way, let's have a conversation about it. You can treat me in ways that maybe aren't monetary while you work on your income or work on your expenses. But I think it's not necessarily monetary. I want to be spoiled in love and time and patience and all of those things. And at the same time though, like, don't have expensive taste and not be able to treat me too, right? Like if you have designer shoes, designer clothes, you out drinking all weekend, and then you come home to me and it's like, oh, well, we're just gonna cook and eat at home all week. Like, no, that's not okay either. Like, you need to adjust your priorities.
So how big of a simp do you require the man you're dating to be? No, I'm kidding. In the current dating market, have you noticed the difference between dating a man in his 20s, 30s, and even 40s? Like, what are the different characteristics that the men have?
Absolutely. I actually have a whole theory on this. So I guess it also depends on the kind of guy that you want to, right? So I'll start out with just someone that you want to have fun with. If you want to just go out and have fun and enjoy life, a guy in their 20s is perfect, because they're going to want to be going out all the time. They have disposable income because they don't necessarily have real responsibilities. So they'll spend all their money on the weekends and probably eat soup or whatever during the week. And if you're just dating them, who cares? Like, that's fun, whatever. Guys in their 30s, they probably are going out, but they have more finesse because they've been doing it a little bit longer. So if you are dating and you're someone that kind of wants to be the only person in that person's life, I feel like a 30s, early 40s guy is probably not for you. When it comes to 40s, later 40s, they're fun because, they'll come pick you up on a weeknight. You can go have a nice dinner. They'll spend money on you. And they're smart too, right? So they'll be able to compartmentalize. So if they realize that you just want fun, but they want someone in their life, so they probably don't mind. And so that's where that's at. But if you're looking for more of like a serious relationship, all of the guys that will be faithful and have their head on straight, have good job, reasonable, responsible, I feel like they are all taken by now or have serious partners that they're in the middle of working things out with that you would have to compete with. So I feel like a serious relationship, like right now, out here in these streets with someone in their 20s is probably not gonna happen. 30s, it's difficult too, right? Because if they're not taken, then they're just focused on building and working. And so they don't want to spend any of their extra income on you, or even their time on you to build that relationship, because they are just hyper focused on getting money and getting as much money as they want. Because if they can do that in their 30s, their late 20s, by the time they're 40, they'll be able to date anyone they want, because they can just spend money and get whoever they want. So 2030s, it's like very slim pickings out here. But 40s, I think they have it together. They realize what they want. If they've had their fun spending their money on girls, you know, that they are probably not interested in, then they've settled down and are probably kind of looking to settle down and actually date just one person. So I feel like the largest dating pool for me, as someone that's in their late 20s that could potentially be looking for something more serious, I would absolutely have to look at the 40 plus pool. That's my theory.
You made an interesting point about the men in their 40s. So men from their 20s, 30s, and to get to their 40s, they built a lot of income, they're making a lot of money, so their options are pretty much limitless.
Yep.
Why would they want to settle down? Now that they have plenty of options, they can get whatever they want. At what point should they have to settle down, or why would they need to?
Everything gets old, you know. They'll probably get exhausted of talking about the same dry topics at dinner, or having like these light ass conversations, or even, you know, I was in my younger 20s. I know I was a lot to handle. And so dealing with that over and over and over again can be exhausting to a man. So I think they just get over it. I think they realize, like, this was fun. I've got it out of my system. I realize I can do that. You know, now may be the time where, you know, if I find her, you know, I think they don't mind. They're still out here in these streets enjoying it. But if they do find someone that they do connect with, I think they're more capable of settling down.
So we can get to, if a man can build his legacy, build his dynasty, make a lot of money. Let's say a woman decides to go the same route. She wants to be independent. She's starting to make a lot of money up into her 40s.
Yep.
What does the dating market look like for her? Does she have unlimited options?
No,
or what?
Not at all. Women often have to downplay, you know, what they have going on, like their success in their career, how much money they make. I mean, even just being a responsible human, right? Like, you know, not letting your tags go out or things like that. They have to downplay just even those simple things, because men's egos, like, it's so huge. You cannot intimidate a man. And it's so crazy because men will literally leave you because they know that they cannot give you what you need, or, you know, maybe they're just lazy too, right? Like, I don't want the pressure of looking at this person and comparing myself and seeing that, you know, it just feels so easy. They have it together and they're doing all of this, and I don't have it together yet, or it's more difficult for me. And I think even more so specifically with Black men, because of what they go through and the challenges they face in this world, it can be really difficult, and it's kind of like demasculating, I feel like, in a sense, to date, you know, someone that, you know, is more independent, has it together in those later ages.
Well, some men would just say physical attraction is a big component, and women in their 40s just don't look as good as women in their 20s. So that could possibly be an issue as well. What do you say to that?
That's the kind of guy who thinks like that I would never entertain, because it's just such a shallow thing, and it's such an incorrect thing as well. So if that's their perspective, cool. I'm not in my 40s, but let's make that clear. But I just, that's just that perspective, and just The mind and the way you think is so important. That wouldn't even impact me.
There's a biological clock. Women in their 40s won't be able to have that large family. So if a man wants to have a large family, he's not looking for women in their 40s. It's just not feasible. So what do you say about that?
Well, I mean, technically it is feasible, especially actually women are staying fertile longer these days than they were in the past. So, that's just simply not true. But I do understand that perspective and that perception and going into it. And I just feel like it's just so unfair in this world that men literally will have all of this time to figure out, life, and then they can have families later in their age. But they don't give women the same grace. So, I think that if you truly love someone and you want that person in your life, then you guys can adjust and make it work to meet both of your needs, whether it's a large family or maybe it's adopting or whatever fits for you guys. But I will say this too, right? So if I'm dating someone that is 40, 45 years old, I'm in my later 20s, I realistically think about stop. I'm gonna have to put you in a home, or I'm still gonna be hot when I'm 40, right? So 10 plus years, and I'm gonna be taking our kid to school, and there's gonna be a hot 40-year-old dad. Maybe he's single. Am I gonna be happy coming home to my old man and knowing that there's these other options and being younger?
So you say meeting a hot 40-year-old man in your 40s. When you dated the 40-year-old man, was he also dating other women that were in their 40s, or was he dating you because you were in your 20s?
I mean, he was dating me because I was in my 20s. I'm very aware of that. And I mean, when I reflect back on that relationship, it was so obvious why. It's because it's easy to, it's not easy, but anyone that just pays attention can see that there's a pattern in the way that women in their, early or late 20s move. There are things that motivate them. I was speaking on the differences between men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s before, right? Men in their 40s have spent more time around women. They have studied women. They understand, how to treat them, how to talk to them, how to love them. It's different. It's coming from a place of experience. And so if you're younger in your early 20s and you find that, you feel so special because you haven't experienced that before, and it feels new, it feels different. And so it's easy for them to kind of, sweep you off your feet. And I was thinking about this actually before, we started this, and I was kind of just reading back on some of my old text, and I found, this guy had sent me this long kind of paragraph expressing his interest and his love for me. And, one thing that he said that when I look back at it now, it makes me cringe. He said, I found a diamond in the rough or I guess he probably didn't say in the rough. He said, I found a diamond that was so bright and shining, but no one else could see her. And I felt like I had gotten so lucky. I don't want that kind of love. I want you to love me even when everyone sees how awesome I am. I don't want you to just, take my diamond and hide me amongst some coal so no one else finds me. That's not love to me.
So are you saying if a man decides to devote his life to you, you'll get married, you want other men to be attracted to you or be interested in you as well?
No, not at all. I want to be able to be my full self at all times. So I don't ever want someone just to come in and just feel like they need to minimize me or overshadow me so that no one else can see me. It's not even about physical attraction. It's just about, you know, growing into the best person that you can be. And I feel like sometimes men come along and, you know, whisper things in women's ear that, you know, make them doubt themselves so that they never, you know, become better or make more money or, you know, be perceived as superior to their man. They keep them in this place where they're comfortable with them, and it's almost like a control thing, you know?